Hey, I've heard about target date funds, but what exactly is one? It sounds kind of confusing, like some fancy investment thing.
Great question. Let's break it down simple. A target date fund is basically a ready-made investment package designed to grow your money over time, especially for big goals like retirement. It's like a single basket that holds a bunch of different things, mostly stocks for growth potential and some bonds for a bit of stability. You pick one based on when you want to use the money, say in 30 years, and the fund does the rest. No need to pick individual stocks or worry about mixing it up yourself.
Okay, that makes sense a little. But why not just stick my savings in a bank account? That's safe and easy, right? This sounds like a gimmick to get me to invest more.
I get why you'd think that. Banks feel super secure, like hiding money under your mattress, but with interest. But here's the thing. A bank account might give you 1 or 2% a year if you're lucky, which barely keeps up with rising prices for stuff like food or games. Target date funds aim higher because they mix in stocks, which can grow way more over time. Think 7% or so on average, though it goes up and down. It's not a gimmick. It's a shortcut for folks who aren't investment pros. Imagine you're planting a garden. A bank is like burying seeds in dry soil. They might sprout a tiny bit, but this fund is like fertile ground with water and sun built in, helping things grow stronger without you digging every day.
Yeah, I see how a little growth could add up for something big like buying a car later or college. So it's all in one fund? Like I don't have to buy separate stocks and bonds?
Exactly. One fund solution. It starts with maybe 80 to 90% in stocks when you're young because time is on your side to ride out the bumps, and 10 to 20% in bonds to smooth things. The fund managers handle diversification, spreading your money across hundreds of companies and safe assets worldwide. No spreadsheets or daily checks needed. Remember my cousin? She was your age, scared of investing, so she just parked cash in a bank for 10 years. It grew a smidge, but inflation ate most of it. She could only afford a used bike. Her friend used a target date fund in a Roth IRA. Same starting amount, and now it's worth double. Enough for a decent laptop and more. It's hands-off magic for building wealth steadily.
Whoa, that's a real difference. So it simplifies everything by mixing stocks and bonds automatically. But how does the target date part work if it's all automatic?
The target date. That's the smart core of it all. You choose a fund named for a year in the future, like Target 2055 if you plan to retire around then. It's not random. It's tied to when you expect to need the money, usually retirement at 65 or so. The fund focuses on that year because your life has stages, young and building wealth, middle years balancing growth and safety, and later protecting what you've saved. It's like picking a road trip destination years ahead. The route adjusts as you drive, but the end goal keeps you on track without getting lost.
Okay, so it's based on my retirement year. But the future feels super far off right now. I'm only 16. What if my plans change, like I decide to retire early or switch careers?
Totally valid worry. Life throws curveballs like surprise college costs or a dream job abroad. That's why these funds are flexible. You can switch to a different target date later if your timeline shifts, say from 2055 to 2045, without much hassle or penalties in most retirement accounts. The focus on a specific year anticipates your life stages. Early on, when time is long, it bets on growth to outpace inflation. As you near the date, it dials back risks. This glide path is the fund's built-in map, shifting investments gradually so you're not caught off guard. Think of it like training for a marathon. You start with long, energetic runs to build stamina, but closer to race day, you ease into walks and stretches to avoid injury. No one wants to sprint the whole way and collapse at the finish.
Yeah, that marathon thing clicks. Pushing hard now, but chilling later. So the glide path is what makes it adjust over time?
Spot on. The glide path is just a fancy term for the planned shift in what's inside the fund. It starts aggressive to grow your nest egg when you can afford ups and downs, then gets conservative to safeguard it. For example, if you pick a 2060 fund today, it might be 90% stocks for potential high returns, companies like tech giants or global brands, and 10% bonds, which are like steady loans to governments or big firms that pay reliable interest. Over decades, as you age, it automatically slides, maybe to 60% stocks and 40% bonds by your 40s, then mostly bonds near retirement. Fund managers rebalance it yearly, selling some stocks when they're high and buying bonds, all without you lifting a finger. My uncle picked one for his 2030 retirement back in the 90s. He ignored it mostly, but watched it glide from wild stock rides in the dot-com boom to safer harbors during the 2008 crash. By retirement, it had tripled his input, funding his RV travels.
Wow, ignoring it but still winning. That sounds perfect for someone busy like me with school and sports. So it anticipates my whole life without me planning every step. But won't it always stay the same once I pick that target year?
Nope. That's the beauty. It evolves with time, not stuck in place. But let's dig into how that shift from risky to safe really plays out in practice.
Yeah, evolving sounds cool, but risky to safe. Stocks are risky, right? Like, why start aggressive at all when I could just play it safe from the beginning and avoid losing money?
I hear you. Risky does sound like jumping off a cliff without a parachute, especially when you're thinking about your hard-earned cash from that summer job. But starting aggressive with more stocks isn't about gambling. It's about using time as your secret weapon. When you're young, like now at 16, you have decades ahead to let your money grow and recover from any dips. Stocks can be volatile. Prices swing like a roller coaster because they're tied to companies that innovate or face challenges. But over long stretches, they historically outpace safer options. Why aggressive? Because if you stay too safe early on, like all bonds or cash, your money might only crawl along at 3 to 4% a year, while inflation nibbles away 2 to 3% annually. You'd end up with less buying power for that future house or trip. Instead, stocks aim for 7 to 10% average growth, turning $1,000 into $7,600 in 30 years versus just $2,400 in a low-risk setup. It's like building a sandcastle. Start with big waves of sand, stocks. When the tide's out, plenty of time to fix collapses, not tiny pebbles when the water's rising fast.
Okay, time is a weapon. That helps ease the scariness. So it shifts to bonds for safety later? How does that automatic part even happen without me doing anything?
Precisely. The automatic shift is what makes it worry-free. The fund follows that glide path I mentioned, gradually moving from stock-heavy to bond-heavy as the target date nears. Picture it like a slow dance partner. Early years, it's leading with bold steps, 80 to 90% stocks for growth. But as years pass, it sways gentler, increasing bonds to 50%, then 70% for stability. Bonds are like reliable IOUs. Governments or solid companies promise to pay back with interest, so they don't jump around as much. The fund managers handle the rebalancing once or twice a year. When stocks boom, they sell some off to lock in gains and buy more bonds. If stocks dip, they buy low without panicking. No apps to check daily or tough calls during market scares. Take my friend's story. She started a Target 2040 fund at 20 with $5,000 from birthday cash. First decade, it rode stock surges from tech booms, growing to $12,000 despite a couple crashes she slept through. By her 40s, it auto-shifted to 60% stocks, cushioning a recession. And now at 45, it's 40% stocks with the rest bonds, worth over $50,000. She just contributes monthly and lets the funds steer.
Sleeping through crashes? That's the dream. No stress. Rebalancing yearly keeps it balanced. Got it. But if it's all automatic like that, how's this any different from me trying to manage my own investments?
That's where it gets even more intriguing. Let's unpack why this hands-off approach might outshine going solo.
Yeah, outshine going solo? I'm curious. Managing my own stuff sounds like it could be fun, like picking my favorite apps or games, but I bet it's trickier than it seems.
Fun at first, sure, but it can turn into a headache fast. Like trying to DJ a party solo while everyone's yelling requests. Target date funds stand out from other savings options because they're truly set it and forget it. Unlike actively managing your own portfolio, or even some 401k choices where you pick funds yourself. In a regular savings account or CD, you're locked into super low growth, maybe 0.5% to 4%. Great for emergency cash, but not for long-term dreams. A 401k is awesome for tax perks, but often you have to select from a menu of funds, stocks here, bonds there, and rebalance them yourself, which means learning charts, watching markets, and maybe paying higher fees if you mess up. Target date? It's one pick and boom. Built-in diversification across thousands of assets, from U.S. tech stocks to international bonds. So you're not betting everything on one horse. Plus, fees are usually low, like 0.1% to 0.5% a year, versus 1% or more for actively managed funds where pros chase hot trends but often underperform the market.
Wait, so even in a 401k I might have to do the work? That does sound similar, but more hassle. Why choose this over, say, just buying index funds on my own?
Spot on. Index funds are solid and cheap, tracking the whole market like a broad playlist. But building your own mix means deciding ratios, like 70% stocks and 30% bonds, then tweaking as you age. One market dip and panic sets in. You might sell low or overdo safe stuff too soon. Target date funds handle that glide path automatically. Plus, the diversification is pro level, spreading risk, so if tech tanks, energy, or foreign markets might lift you. Fees stay low because they're often just wrapping those same index funds into one package. No fancy stock picking extras. My neighbor tried solo investing in his 20s. He loaded up on cool sounding stocks from apps. But after a couple bad years, he bailed and stuck to savings, missing out on recovery growth. His sister, same 401k at work, but she chose a target date fund. 10 years later, hers is up 150% with zero tweaks, while his barely beat inflation. It's like autopilot on a long drive versus gripping the wheel through every storm. Less stress, more miles.
Autopilot totally wins for me. I'd rather focus on homework or hanging out than stock apps. Built-in everything keeps it simple and cheap. But other options like Roth IRAs seem flexible too. Isn't this just a type of that?
Good catch. A target date fund is often the engine inside a Roth IRA or 401k, not a replacement. The IRA gives tax-free growth magic, but the fund inside does the investing smarts. What sets it apart is ditching the DIY part. No need to research or adjust, which trips up most beginners. Diversification happens instantly, lowering risk without you juggling eggs in baskets. And yeah, fees are a win. Many target dates from big providers like Vanguard or Fidelity charge under 0.15%, way below average mutual funds at 0.8%. For young folks, it's perfect because it forces that long view discipline you might skip otherwise. Imagine starting small, like $50 a month from allowances or jobs. Over 40 years at 7% average, it could hit $100,000 without you ever logging in.
Whoa, $50 a month to six figures? That's motivating. Hands off with low fees and auto diversification makes it way better than piecing together my own mess or low growth banks. I get why it's different now. Simpler path to real growth.
Exactly, you've nailed it. It's like having a reliable co-pilot for your financial future, turning small steps into big wins without the solo stress.